Well, I live in Dublin with my wife and 4 kids, so.
We're good. Okay, so we have to do the annual election of office. Tonight, Steve Eisenman is absent. Chair, vice chair, and recording secretary. Yep. Interested in any of those roles? Sandy, I don't think you're allowed to.
I'm not allowed to.
You're not allowed to. Tom, Courtney,
What were the positions again?
chair, vice chair, and recording secretary.
And then what I asked that, are we as board members allowed to join via Zoom?
Not in participate,
Are we allowed to join via Zoom?
not in participate.
So. Well, with Steve not here, do you want to put it off until next month? And wait and get that? Everyone okay with that?
Couldn't hear you. Cause you're facing them and not as a microphone, so I can't hear you.
I made a motion, or I suggested we postpone this until next month when Mr. Eisman is back to the full board.
I support that.
Is that fine?
He's not gonna be back next month.
Not next month.
Steve is not gonna be here next month.
Okay. You won't be here next month. So, any suggestions?
When do we have to have, officers elected?
Supposed to do it in January. I mean, you should have a chair. And, by statute, it says you'll have an annual election of officers in January. So. I legally, can you still limp along till next month until I got a legal opinion? I probably could.
Okay. You're co-chair now.
He's the recording secretary.
We wouldn't want to vote him into an office without him being there.
Oh, that would be fair. Okay, so then we'll postpone this for a month and then you'll come back with an
Yep.
opinion on that.
Yep.
All right, the next one on the is the exception of the agenda. So move.
Second.
Second, Courtney, the agenda is accepted. Then we have the approval of the minutes from December 15th. I know we've done Asked and rehashed and talked about. Does anyone have any further comments? We'll make the motion to approve the meeting.
Also, support.
Second, Sandy. Minutes are approved. Now, this section of the agenda is
Supported by Sandy.
or anything that's not on. the
And
agenda.
Leah moved and Sandy. Support.
Patrick.
Will there be a public comment before the master plan item comes up? Or should those comments be made now?
You can probably make them now, it's probably my time.
I mean,
So this is really what it is, we're gonna talk about what it basically would look like. What some of the things of feedback we've gotten from the community over the last couple of years. So it's about the proposal, so if you'd like to talk about it, no, I think
that
this,
is the like,
yes, this is a good opportunity.
yes, thank you. Especially, just keep off what, the acting chair just said. Some input has been gathered from residents. Over the past few months. But really not through a formal process. And my concern is that the revisions of the master plan may be too much constrained by the informal feedback that we received. I don't know if that's the case, but I'd like to make sure that when we get to the more formal stages where we have the public hearings and so forth, that we're not too constrained that residents can't get outside the box of what's already been discussed. And I'm not sure how to do that, but for example, if only 2 areas of the township are identified for review, what if somebody comes in and says, well, you know, we'd really like to look at the other areas of the township. too. Most of the residents in this township right now don't even know that there's a master plan review about to begin, so they haven't had a chance to get their input there. So, that's my concern, I hope that's accommodated in some way for the people who aren't.
Yeah, no, that's.
I mean, I've got a lot of specific stuff I can talk about here, but it's probably not.
Yeah, no, appreciate the comments. There's another question in the back, gentlemen. Yeah, could your name please?
Yeah, Steve Brian Hart, live on time.
Hi, Dave.
At the end of the last board township. They went into private session, came back and said that we need to send, rezoning of the county property back to the planning commission. Because it's a condition. Now, that was in the proposal, I thought, that was given to you folks, so I'm just hoping it's not the worst case scenario, that it wasn't ratified and people that voted down just automatically, and now it's coming back. And we have to leave it. So I hope that's not the case. It just bothered me if that's not true, and you can explain how that happened. that would be good.
Does anyone else have comments? Yes, ma'am, your name please. Hi, Liz.
My two things I'd like to say. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Chair, for speaking into the microphone. And I hope everybody on the board uses the microphone and the camera, so we are here to hear and understand what's going on. So I appreciate that. Secondly, I also, would like to say, I hope that there's a chance to get input on ideas and areas for the domestic plan revision before it gets to set in stone or before a formal public hearing where there's not as much feedback. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So that there could be some input.
Yeah, I'm just recalling when we went through the master plan review in 2017, there were a number of meetings and communications that went out to the community. And there were a number of meetings and opportunities for that. People provided feedback. This is not a full master plan review. I think this is a 5-year review is what is that technically the name of it. So the scope of it is still, I think, is something we're gonna have to talk about. What is but that's. I think that getting the feedback from the community is the reason I would do it. Appreciate the comments. Yes, your name, please.
Renee Thompson.
Hi, Renee.
I really good on speech from that. Echo what Lois said, how involving other residents. We trying to figure out a way to get more residents involved. I know, notices went out within the tax buildings. Personally, I take on tax bill and picture.
You don't like looking at the tax bill, huh?
You see the tax bill and pay it, but, so it would be nice to get a lot of input from residents.
No, I think that you're bringing a good point. It's how do you communicate?
Yeah.
What are the needs? Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't interested in local government.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the last couple of years have shown that there are people who interested, because obviously we don't have. I would like to say some of the ways that I've heard are to maintain the rural character of the township, allow for appropriate development. And the higher density things at the immediate urban boundary. And the mixed use designation. Where the plan states the mixed use designation to be, which was south of the main to interchange and some real estate. Right now, the master plan has been put in the verbiage says that, and future use map. There's a spot right in the middle of, there's an art as mixed use, so. In my opinion, and based on the prayer of all these meetings we have in the past couple of years, that makes me so amazing to do it. So I mean, we're not used in the mixed use though. When finally, I'm gonna mention this again, that I'm not forgot, Kathleen, I would like, and I think the residents deserve some kind of assurance that the unnamed employee who referred to residents as needy. And then said they were gonna reach out to, commercial real estate developer, so that they really things out on the road. Some assurance that this person is not going to allow these. This is the future of Sullivan Township, and this person clearly doesn't match with what residents.
Yeah, so the planning commission doesn't get involved in those issues, so it would be hard for us to comment. Mr. Russell.
And I agree with everything said. I just want to pile on to the portion of the master plan, which I think is sort of the contention point of most everything, and that's what it's elimination. Over in my little corner of Sylvan Township, where it was slated to be zoned for the low density residential. 90% of the property in that highlighted area is already developed. People already have houses and barns and all that kind of stuff. And you know, there's really only about 4 parcels that you can look at and go, yeah, if that happens, that's what this was written for. So it is like the mixed use thing in the middle of nowhere, this low density thing in a spot where there really isn't any room for it. So I'm not sure why. But hopefully, so I just want to point that out when we're talking about it's the future range now, like I like this is fun.
Okay, well, please appreciate the comments. Anyone else have questions or comments? Okay, we're gonna close public comment. We're gonna move on to unfinished business, which there isn't any tonight. Then new business is discussion with Carlo Wortman regarding the master plan update reports, which I think they've already heard quite a few of them from the citizens. With that said, do you have any presentation you'd like to?
I have some comments that I would like to make.
Okay.
Can I come up there so maybe everybody can hear?
Sure, everyone.
You want to check?
No, I can stand. It's not long standing, doesn't mind.
Like the microphone, you understand?
You can take Sandy's.
I think I can speak loud enough. Can everybody hear me? My name is Laura Crabson with Carlisle Wortman Associates. I worked with Sylvan Township the last time you did your master plan, and I see a lot of familiar faces, so it's nice to see everybody. It's been a while, and we've been through a lot since the last time we did our master plan. I appreciate all the comments that I've heard already. This is the first time hearing about any master plan modifications at all. We've just been asked to come tonight and give some discussion, and then from this discussion, I have to go back and write a proposal for the planning commission and the township board to consider the costs associated with the master plan revision. Every 5 years, the state statute requires that the planning commission review the master plan. They can review it and determine there are no modifications needed. They can review it and determine that they want to make revisions to the current document, or they can do a complete overhaul of the document, which is what we did about 6 years ago.
2000.
Yeah, so so that's a decision that the board will make. Of course, there are different costs associated with that. Every time that we review a master plan, we recommend looking at the background information. Since the last time this was updated, we do have new 2020 census data. So that might be important to include in the new document. We also always review the goals and objectives and the implementation, as well as the future land use map. And it sounds like those are the items that people are concerned about now. As part of that review process, basically the amendment process and the comprehensive review process kind of are the same. They're the same kind of steps. So we have to, once we put a proposal together and we decide what option we're going to do, we have to put out a notice to everyone saying that we intend to open up the master plan. And that intent to plan goes to neighboring jurisdictions, the county, railroads, utilities, etc. And I'm sure it'll go on the township website and other forms of communication. After that intent to plan, that's when we begin to work with the planning commission, and we'll have to determine the forms of public input that they want to have.
And there are a number of ways we can get input. We can have a survey, we can, have an open house, which I think we did both of those last time, didn't we,
Yep.
Carol?
We did, and we actually did several open houses.
Yeah,
We did 3 open houses, couple of surveys.
Yep.
so and for each, and what I plan to do is when I go back, I'll kind of, maybe I'll give you a couple different options. And so then maybe you can pick and choose what ones you think would work best, for the community, and we can go from there. But there will be plenty of opportunity to provide input, and you can always provide input directly to myself or to Carol as well. If for some reason you can't attend a meeting or whatever, we're very open to that. After we get all that public input and we get the amendment and the plan put together, the planning commission will review those changes. And then they have to ask the township board if it's okay to distribute, because just like we told everybody we're intending to plan, we have to distribute it out to everybody and give them a public comment period. So after the township board says, yep, we agree with this plan, we're gonna send it out. If it's a full revision, a full document revision, we have to have a 63-day public comment period. If it's an amendment, then we only have to have 42 days. And so we would send it out to all the neighboring jurisdictions, utilities, railroads, we'll post it on the website. And then after that public comment period, the planning commission is required to hold a public hearing. So even if you can't attend, or, we have a survey and we have an open house, there's still at the end is always room for a public hearing. And I heard some comments about, we don't, we want to make sure there's time before, which is very important. But don't think if you get to the public hearing and you haven't commented that those comments don't matter. Those comments matter also. This document is not finalized until all of the planning commission is satisfied that all of the public comment that they want to incorporate into the plan has been done. And so after that public hearing, the planning commission will either request more revisions or they will adopt the document. And I believe the township board adopted the document last time too.
Yeah, we asked them if they wanted to.
Yeah. So it's a long process, but Carol asked me to come and give a brief presentation. And this is the first I've heard of some of the issues that you're having. So I can't talk to any specific particular issue or challenge that you're having, but I look forward to working with Carol and the planning commission in an amendment. And so I'll open it up to you guys to let me know if there's something special that you are looking for, or if what I described, maybe there's something else.
I should ask, do you want me to get the land use map out, the large one? Would that help you guys, or?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. I think the other one that would be helpful is this, maybe outline the process as you just verbally described. If you can put that down and we can share it with people. So that
Sure.
People.
Yeah, it can all be part of that proposal.
Yeah, that, and the other question, based on your experience recently, what's been more effective means of communication, public participation?
That's hard.
Facebook pages or?
That's hard. I mean, every community is a little different. But the more places you can put it out there, the better. It really just depends on the community. We do Facebook pages. You talked about the tax bill, that's a good way to get it to everybody. I know whether they read it or not, I don't know. Website, the township website, if you have a newsletter, township newsletter or a mailer that goes to everybody, that's a good way.
You got a website, but I'm not sure how many people use it.
Yeah. Post it, people come in to pay their tax bill, we could have a board when you walk in that kind of gives an introduction to the master plan and can outline the ways that they could provide input.
Other question for you, this is kind of along these lines, maybe a little bit often, but we've got the large Chrysler proving grounds out there. And knowing how the world's changing, if property like that were to come up, is this something that from a master planning perspective that we need to kind of take a look down the road and say, hey, if this property were to be sold, for instance, right? Is that something we should potentially address in our master plan forecast?
Sure. So, talking about the future land use map, that really is meant to be what do you want in the future? It doesn't necessarily coincide directly with the current zoning map, right? So, I don't know what the proving grounds are currently zoned, but
It's a zone bottom.
okay, but so if that is an area, it's in the urban service district, and that's an area that has utilities. And maybe it isn't, well then, that's a different, that's a conversation we have.
Yeah, I
What's
think we should
the
at
best
least
use?
talk about it so we understand what the potential implications. are. Because it's a large piece of property, it's zoned specifically
For that.
that particular business.
Well, you know, there's nothing that says you have to do that now. You can wait until there's a user. Especially if you don't want to leave it kind of open-ended. I mean, you know what it is now and that's what it'll be used for. And then, you know, you could just worry about it when it happens, but at that point, then maybe you might have a more better idea of what the user might end up doing. So just something we need to talk about through our conversation.
Right, I mean, it's just a large portion of the township. right?
Mhm.
So it's- we need to At least not understand what the potential implications are.
Sure.
So I think the other thing is, as residents pointed out, certainly the desire to create a strong agricultural community. Similar, so from a land use perspective, we've gotten a lot of feedback. I have the impression I got is most people like to the whole town should be ag. It's kind of the feedback that we've got, whether it's right or wrong, it's probably another story, but that's some of the feedback I picked up from the community over the last few years.
Okay.
So from a goals perspective, one of the other ones is, you know, what along the water line district, right? What is it we really want to, do we really need to encourage development along this path? We want to remain an agriculturally focused township. Is that something we want to promote going forward, especially this
Right.
discussion points to?
Sorry, I can't find the easel.
That's all right. I'm really not prepared to like talk about a specific
You know, what-
location or anything.
I think the idea is to just be broad things, the feedback that we're getting.
Sure.
Right. So I don't
So
think
these
any-
are all the maps from the lifetime, yeah. last. The urban boundary and the.
I'm trying to remember from your perspective, how long does this process typically last on these issues?
Well, I
Just
mean,
one.
it really depends on the type of outreach that you want to have, and then, and how much input we get and how long it kind of takes to have to do that, so. I would say anywhere between 6 to 12 months, for a total, you know, from start till we're having the public hearing and we're ready to adopt it.
Leah, do you have any comments you'd like to?
Yeah, I can think that, I think you've covered.
Tom, how about you? I'm good with it. Can I be recording?
I've also been right up.
Cliff, I know you're new to all this.
Yeah, the surveys you use to get feedback, are those surveys you design, or would we as a commission work to design the survey?
So I would bring you the questions, and we do this all of the time, so I will be working from, another community very similar to yours, and we'll make sure that it fits Sylvan Township. We've used SurveyMonkey in the past, I think now we used, Sogo Survey, so basically it's all on the computer and, it tabulates results for us and provides a really nice report at the end too.
Is in those online surveys like that, how do you control security?
You can, there's different levels of control that you can put on it. You can say one per device. You can even say one per device, because it'll know the IP.
Okay, so
Address.
it does pick up IPs.
Mhm.
And on the back end, those systems, if you use SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics or a system like that, they have built-in mechanisms to protect the data.
Yeah, I'm always a little skeptical. I work in IT.
Well, that's if you click the box, that's what they tell you.
So I have a question about the surveys. Is it to everyone? Adults and children or in the township who get surveyed?
So we would love for every adult,
Okay.
every voting person to be
Okay.
able to do a survey. Now, there are times when you want children, you want input from
Sure.
younger people.
Sure.
But for most master plans, we're looking at adults.
Right.
And so, that's a conversation we would have if we do a survey. Do you want it to be one IP address, or are you concerned that someone shares a computer? And maybe we allow two. So there's,
Yeah.
you know, so that's a conversation we'll have when we get
Okay.
there. That makes sense?
So what do you think are some of the biggest challenges in revising this master plan, seen from your past experiences?
You know, the challenge is consensus. But we know, we work in, you know, Carla Wortman works in 75 communities throughout the Southeast Michigan. So we do this all the time. And so, we work really hard to make sure everyone's heard, and to try and educate about the process. And, you know, ultimately it's your decision, what's gonna go in the document. So we just try to inform you as best we can and provide input to the community.
So we've got a couple of things coming up. I think we're looking at potentially a alternative energy ordinance. I think there's some- and there's other ordinances being proposed. How does that play into the solar planning process?
Well, I heard about the solar. I think solar probably should be in here as a goal or as, policy or something. Could be added. I'm not sure about the other ones. But we definitely could work hand in hand with the person that's working on those ordinances to make sure anything that should be in the master plan is covered.
And what have you seen other communities doing with their alternative energy to the master plans?
Oh, wow. I mean, you name it. I mean, I work in Pittsfield Township. They just provided a whole, I don't know if you've seen it. They have a whole sustainable Pittsfield portion of their master plan. It talks about green roofs and charging stations and I mean, all sorts of things. SIO is kind of doing the same thing. But it really depends on the community and the level that they want to provide that information.
Because right now, it's an urban versus rural battle, right? They need all this land for the solar. People in rural communities don't want to necessarily look at all this
Mhm.
infrastructure. It's.
Yeah.
It really does provide a lot of visual benefits for like. And so people, how are townships, rural townships finding that balance?
Well, a lot of rural townships I work in, they don't want some. And those that have had some in the past are now saying, okay, we have enough. For example, I work in Augusta Township, they have, 3 different solar projects that were proposed, covering about 1,500. And after those were approved, they said, we have enough. So they're modifying the ordinance so that it would only be allowed in industrial. Because they all have allowed it in. So, really, community by community, very different perspectives and. We try to accommodate each one a little differently.
I think you said the why, but I didn't hear it. Why are townships not wanting the solar?
Some do, and some don't, I mean, so there's kind of like 2 schools of thought. There's the school of, I'm a farmer and this is my land and I should be able to develop it in any manner I want, and it should include a solar farm. Because it's, diversifying my income or financial, portfolio. On the other side is also farmers that say, I don't want anything to do with that. I want farmland is for farming. And so I see it, it's strange. It's really strange. You either feel very strongly one way or the other, but I don't really see the other.
At the state level, I know, is there any actions going on there, taking away local ordinance controls on this?
No.
That need to be addressed in the master plan?
Not yet. But if townships continue to, only allow them in industrial areas and not allow for agricultural development.
Anyone else got any questions? Go ahead and do the topics.
I look forward to our finding as many ways as possible to communicate with people all over the township. And maybe there's, I mean, some of the ways that you've talked about. It's really hard to get people to respond. So I like the idea of having something right here. I don't know what the foot traffic is in here, but we need to think about things we haven't done before.
Well, and maybe there are other businesses or areas of the community that would also be willing to provide like a little board.
Yeah.
Even, places down like a little coffee shop or, restaurant or just a little store, somewhere where people walk in, at least you can say, hey, we had it in these 3 locations and we really tried, we did the survey, we had it on the website, we had a Facebook page. So we talked about it every township board meeting, we talked about the planning commission meeting.
Yeah.
All you can do is get it out there.
Yeah.
I think Sylvan Township is centered like that, it's Sylvan Coffee Shop, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a big.
Guess we could paint a sign on Watertown.
There you go.
Creative, that's what it have to be.
Yeah, it's sort of. Okay, does anyone else have questions or comments or feedback? Does this give you enough to?
Yeah, what I will put a proposal together. I'll probably have some different public input options to kind of choose from. And I'll be speaking with Carol and we'll look at something. Okay.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, so under new business, we have communications. Sandy, I think you had some communications.
I do. So each of you were given, Carol, was this a handout?
I gave one, I didn't put it up on the, public
Okay,
sheet. It was just for you guys.
should I read those?
Sure. Or you can summarize it either way.
It's not very long.
All right.
So, here, I think you can hear me, but just to make sure. So the township board reviewed the Conway Road conditional rezoning application, public hearing minutes, and most particularly the minutes of the December 15th, 2022 Planning Commission recommendation to deny the rezoning application. The board went into a closed session with legal counsel and returned in open session with a motion made by Kosak, supported by Branham, that reads as follows. Motion to direct the planning commission to deliberate the 5601 Conway Road rezone request and take into consideration that it is a conditional zoning request. To further elaborate on this, the board would like the planning commission to review the standards of review of the application, which is a conditional rezoning, and base any recommendation to the township board on the conditions provided by the applicant with the standards of review provided by Attorney Ball.
So it's coming back to you guys next month. Is what that says.
Okay, thank you.
We won't have fun.
Well,
Leah's gone,
you have 5.
Steve's gone.
You still have 5.
Still, yes.
Is anybody else gonna be gone?
I may be gone on a business trip. I'm not sure that.
I may have similar scenarios, but in any case, we'll cross that bridge.
Yep, if not, then maybe we can, it's not a public hearing, so I don't have to post it. So if we have to adjust the date, we can do that.
Comments, concerns of the planning commission members? One I have, is we haven't heard anything from Robin Hills, they're due and come in with their annuals. That's what we're doing.
Well, they haven't done that for quite a few years.
All right.
You know, if you would like me to send them a letter and say, hey, we'd like to hear what you're doing, we can ask them to do it. They are proposing to have fireworks. I've told them that they have to come in for an agriculture tourism event permit. Have not heard from them.
Yeah, because there's, I remember we initially went through it, it's coming at the beginning of the year, it's what we got planned.
If they have events, but yeah, I've let them know that they have to come in, but I can't drag them in.
So the firework permit, that goes to the board?
The special use agriculture tourism permit goes to you guys, because it's a special use under ag tourism. The actual fireworks permit goes to the board.
Okay, so. Okay. Sandy, anything else from your side?
Yes, so Carol sent to everybody the information about the Citizen Planner program that's going to be put on by Michigan State University, and will be held on Zeeb Road on Thursdays from March 16th February 16th through March 23rd, so that's like 6 classes. So I emailed Harmony today and I said, and they're in-person classes. And I said, so that's a lot of classes and I'm just not sure everybody's gonna be able to make every class. And she said, so you get, I guess, a certificate as a citizen planner from this, so that if you want to receive the certificate, you can miss 2 meetings, but you have to make them up because apparently they are recording them. And after looking at the titles of the classes, I think they're really interesting, but members of the planning commission can go to the MTA, Michigan Township Association classes, which I think might be better geared toward us, but you know, if you're interested in doing it and have Thursdays free, then absolutely. And one of the learning sessions that I attended, planning commission members are supposed to attend 3 educational classes during their 3-year term. So there are a lot of classes that are available through the Michigan Township Association. And most of them, you know, I think all of them are Zoom, except the conference they're having, which is not necessarily planning.
Can I jump in, Laura, and speak to that? Because I know Carlisle Wortman also does educational classes. You want to?
Yeah, we provide different educational classes, roles and responsibilities, we can provide zoning board of appeals, we can provide site plan review class,
They can do it in person, in-house.
yeah. So if there's a specific topic that you would like, you can.
Great.
And what we could do as well is we could invite surrounding communities and then share the cost.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in doing that, please let me know, because I would be happy to, you know, reach out to other people. You know, because every time I throw something out, I'm kind of like getting nothing from you guys. So I'd really, you know, think if we were doing something in-house, we can coordinate it with either PC and ZBA. And, you know, Dexter and Chelsea and Lyman Township, maybe Sharon. We can just invite you know, a bunch of people and we can share that cost between the communities.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Ian?
No.
Leah, how about you?
No?
Look, I won't put you on the spot. So, Courtney, how about you?
I don't have any.
The Bears? I think good. You're good.
I do. I just want to remind everybody that it's just gotten posted. It'll be on the website. We're having the joint PC-ZBA meeting on this coming Monday. At 7 o'clock to discuss the 3 ordinances, which is going to be the admin review, the solar, and then have some discussion about Lake Residential. So I got I heard from most everyone that they're going to be able to make it. A few of you can't, and a couple from ZBA can't, but for the most part, we're going to have a nice group for the joint session, and Rebecca Harvey will be presenting.
Okay. Anything else? No. Motion. So moved. Second by Leah. All right, thank you.
The record. 7:40. We're gonna be short now.
Yeah.